What's going on, YouTube? Got a little bit of an update here. We got a mess going on in this shop. Been kind of working on a project. As you can see, I got a big old stack of OSB here for finish out the walls in the shop. So we have all of these walls completed, insulated all the way around. So all we have left is this corner, and I'll show you what's going on over there. So what we have here is some little roll around dolly carts. I'm not sure what they're called. They're from Harbor Freight. We got them real cheap for like 40 bucks. They come with the little caster, locking casters and everything. It's 2 foot by 3 foot, and it's got a little tray at the top. And so the shop, we had to take all the tables down, like over here, so we could complete the walls. And once I had it down, I propped it on this little cart, and I'm like, wow, that fits pretty good. And I used to have my little chop saw in between the two tables, and the sawdust would just drop in the bottom. So I had an idea to basically make a cutout and flush mount it in there, and that way the dust can just collect in that top tray. When it gets full, I can just empty it out. Plus, I think I'm going from 41 inches down to I think 37 or something, and it's just a more comfortable working height. I have this little table saw, this little Craftsman, and I was going to do away with the stand of it and just use this part and do the same thing in that one and flush mount it if I have the room. I had just enough room for this little saw to be able to sink into that. And what I'll do is make a panel that I could just pull off, and when I'm not using the saw, if I want just a table, I can put that panel back on. Alright guys, so what I did here, I got my square and my saw. I'm ready to cut. All I did was pull a measurement from that side of the board, came to 3 foot. I did the same thing from this side, came to 3 foot. That leaves us a 2 foot wide square. And I just used this little T-square here, drew my lines out. That's 21 by 24 wide, and just enough room for this little chop saw that I'm going to be dropping in there. And I'm going to have it to where it's flush into this table. And all this table is a sheet of 3/4 inch plywood that's ripped in half, and I made 2 of them, and it's just framed out with 2x4s. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this square out, and I'll show you what I'm doing. cut that out right there. Took it off, blew the dust out. So this is what the little cart looks like. It's got the little caster wheels. 2 of them are locking and swivel. It's got the little handle right here, but that's not going to matter anymore. But I want to say, let me see how deep this tray is. So it's like a 3-inch deep tray on the top, same as on the bottom. And what I'm going to do is, now that I have the sawdust taken out, I'm going to put this back up here and find a way to mount it. Stay tuned. So this is what I came up with here. This is where I needed to sit inside of the hole. I needed it flush mount. So what I did is I just took a board that's even, clamped it down to where it sits right where it needs to. It's roughly 4 3/4 inch underneath. So what I'm going to do is just build a support under here that's 4 3/4 something. I'm not sure yet. But basically when I set it in there, it's going to be right where it needs to be. Alright guys, so this is what I'm going to end up doing. I got my little Kreg jig here. This has been a real useful little tool. I highly recommend it. You don't have to use it for what I'm about to do, but just saying I like it. I got this just sitting in here right now, but basically what this tool does is you do pocket holes with this tool, and that's how I'm going to attach the 2 pieces of stock wood that I have here, scrap wood, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to do 1 on each side, so where this can go and sit right on top of that. I'll probably have some little screws as studs or something, so they'll line up with this and they'll just sit just right. Alright, let me go ahead and do that. Alright, so all I did was just kind of eyeball it. I stuck it in the middle here, and that's roughly about 4 inches on each side. So what I'm going to do is just mount this about 4 inches from it, and about 4 3/4 from the bottom of this pan here. That way when, it sits just right. Okay. Alright, so all I'm going to do is stick a 2x4 in here, piece of 1/4 inch. And that's pretty close to 4 3/4 from the top of here to the bottom of the pan. I'm going to go ahead and just eyeball it about 4 inches. About 4 inches from there and here. And go ahead and screw it together. Obviously I over tightened that a little bit, that's why I kind of cracked up, but that's not going to ruin the integrity there. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So the way this little Kreg jig thing works, it's got this little, I don't even know what you call it, but you adjustment on how deep you can go with it. You know, it'll put it here, it'll stop. And right here, you just adjust this to the thickness of wood that you're using. This is technically 3/4 of an inch thick. So there's a setting right here where you can, you know, go way up there to 2x4s, 1.5, all the way down to 1/2 inch. And I had it set right here at the 3/4 level, and I just tightened it up. I like this little tool. We actually built the whole shop using this. I don't know, used it a lot. Close enough. Okay, so I stuck the saw in, and wouldn't you know it, it's a little off. So we're touching here, but we're not touching here. So what I did is I just clamped it in place. I'm gonna loosen the screws and just have it to where, you know, pull it where it needs to be. There you go, guys. Went ahead and made the adjustment on the one side, and it's all nice and level now, both sides touching, just good to go. The only problem here is this is the part where it's messing up. It's hitting into that. So what I'm gonna have to do is just basically mount it where I need it to go, and then probably trace a line right here and cut that out to where this will have clearance. So I'm going to do that right now. Alright, so I got my mark made where I need the clearance. I don't know if you can see that. And I just traced right here with a pencil. I put 4 screws in it to mount it. And it's actually not mounted. The screw you can lift up on, you see, but it keeps it from shifting, you know, back and forth. That way you can just pull the saw off at any time, put your cap on if you need a table. So I'm going to pull that off and cut those sections where I need the clearance. Alright, so I got those little pieces cut out. Got the clearance from under here. You just unscrew this and move it on over. Like so, over to 45 degrees. Lock it back down. This piece, you know, goes like that. And now all I got to do is pull the saw out, and I'm going to find a way to attach it to the table now. And also, I don't know if you can tell, but there's daylight going through there, and I want to close that off because I want to contain most of the sawdust that falls in from here into the tray and not go out the sides. So I'm going to figure out how to plug that up and attach it, and also let's see what else I wanted to do. Also wanted to put some stops under here to where the piece that I cut out can go right back in if I ever needed it to. you know, in case I want to use it for a table for a little while. Alright, let me do that. Alright guys, so I went ahead and put me some little stops over here, and got the piece that I cut out. Kind of hard to do with one hand. Fits really tight, but it's in there. Not too bad. I drilled me a little 1-inch hole. Pull this out, and I'd probably maybe hang it right here. Something, I don't know. So I cut a couple of pieces of wood right there. It's just some 3/4 inch plywood, and I'm going to stick it on those gaps to keep the sawdust from flying out, and I'm also going to use it to mount the wood to the cart. So I'm going to put these in. You see that in there? It's probably pretty dark, so but you can see it from this side. It's closed in, and what I'm going to do is stick some screws through the metal and on those pieces of wood I just stuck in there, and then I'm going to find out where it is, you know, here, and mount it to the table there to where it's all mounted together. So let me go ahead and do that. Alright, so I'm working by myself, and luckily I have this tool. It's called a prop rod. Let's see if I can show you with one hand what it does. Basically, you extend this and it can't push back in, so whatever distance you need, you pull it out and it can't move. And what I needed to do was hold that piece of wood and that piece of wood while I ran 3 screws through the metal, because it kept wanting to push, and obviously my arms wasn't long enough, so I put that in and spread it out, and that worked out pretty good. Another thing you could do is maybe cut a piece of wood the exact length and wedge it in there if you have to, or just get a helper. So I got that screwed in, and I don't know if you notice I got a couple of holes here. What I did is I went underneath. I don't know if you could see that, somewhere right here. I just took my drill bit and went right along that corner, and that way I'll have a reference hole to find where I need to screw down. But I have 3 drywall screws going through there, through the metal into the wood tight, and all I did was put my T-square and, you know, drilled my holes, pre-drilled them, put 3 drywalls going down there. So I got to do this side, and that'll be done. I'm going to go ahead and put it together. Hold on. So that is it. I'm done with it. Got my piece I'm going to hang on the wall or something. I'll find a place for this. I can pull that out and snap that in. We got me a fairly deep tray to collect sawdust, and what I may do is bring a vacuum hose underneath here, running through that piece of wood I mounted, and that way I can click on the vacuum. Whatever drops here at least will suck in there. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but I'll try it in the future. So, but anyway, right there, that's good for now. It's solid. I can roll it around. There you go. So later on, like I said earlier, I'm going to go ahead and try to modify this to fit in that one and mount it to that cart. And then, of course, I got to finish my mess I got going on here. Anyway, y'all take it easy. Later.